Good afternoon guys, welcome back to the channel. Chris Dennis here, putting specialist and short game performance coach. Today we're out here and I'm talking about the top 3 things that I see in pitching that a lot of people struggle with, and it's the reason why on these shots, especially this awkward one here which is around about 30 yards, is one that we struggle with. So the first thing I always see from people here is stance width. So getting onto these shots, I see too many people take a normal setup. And if I saw them from a distance, I would think that they may be hitting it 100 yards, 120 yards. I wouldn't be sure. From there, we have a lot of movement off the ball, and then the low point becomes scattered. So it could be anyway. If I don't transfer my weight back on such a short shot, I'm going to bottom out here. The opposite is then we come over the ball, we come steep onto the ball, and it comes out like a bullet. So what I often see is people from here will move off. Oh, I've got the height, but I haven't got the distance. Not a bad strike. They say, oh, I'm not sure what happened. Look, I'm just happy I took contact there. Again, other people will be there. All right, yeah, perfect. It's landed at the distance. I've took a divot, but it's come out too low to have no control, so it's come out very hot. So one thing we want to think about when we're pitching, like I say, this is a 30-yard shot, but this can be all the way back to 100 yards, is we don't want to see you wider than 2 club head widths apart. From there you can see I can't move off, otherwise I'm going to fall. So we have more consistency where the low point is and where the strike is going to be. So from there, when I'm narrower, my weight's left, I can just turn around my spine. I can get a better contact with a consistent flight, and that's ran out to around about 8 feet. So from there, although that wasn't the best strike I've hit, I was able to get away with that because there isn't much error in where I'm going to strike the ground, simply because that stance is closer and I can't have much deviation in that low point. So again, nice and low, weight stays left, we turn the body back, we turn the body through, a little bit of a better strike, a little bit higher. So if we was going further than that, again, if I went back to 50 yards, whether I went back to 70 yards, all we might do is we might change the club, but stance width will stay the same. So when you're out pitching, when you're on those awkward distances between 30 yards and 100 yards, keep the stance nice and narrow. Change the loft of your club. I've got a 56 here for this shot. If we went further back, you could go to a 52, a 54, a 50, depending on how far back we go. And we're going to have a lot more consistency of strike. From there, when we get the consistency of strike, we know what kind of flight we're getting, we know what kind of spin we're getting, and then we know how and where to land the ball to get it as close as possible. So that's the first thing that I see from golfers when they're pitching, and that's one big thing that affects how close they hit the ball. The second thing that I see often in pitching when people come down there is you've seen a few videos, you're trying to get your wedges to launch low with a lot of spin, and what we see is ball position gets a little bit too far back. From there then, we're trying to hold the angle off, arm loses connection, and we either hit the dreaded word, the shank, or it comes out way too low and too far right because we're so focused on, yeah, I've seen on TV and I've heard, you know, they've told me to keep the ball low, it has more spin, and that's what I need to do, that's what I need to focus on, really get it low, like a cricket shot. Oh yeah, that's come out nice and low. And you'll find, even if you make contact like I did on both of those, we've taken off too much loft. There's a certain point where then there'll be no spin because it's coming off too fast. It will just run straight through the green. And I'm sure that's what a lot of you see. Others of you will see big divots, big craters, okay, and it's not coming out with any spin. It goes way too far. Then it starts to feed into your long game. So you start, oh, well, if I do that with my wedge, it's going further. So if I do that with my 7-iron now, I'm going to get my 7-iron from 140 to 160. But it's coming out so low, you've got no landing angle and no control. So a drill that you can do, and the main focus we want to have is if you've got a long towel, you can put that underneath both arms and make motions. And the focus here is getting the upper body to rotate better. You will see, if I get this upper body to rotate correctly, the left shoulder works up, and you'll see my face is square, and I have taken off a lot of loft. So that's going to come out with plenty of spin. So just getting the body to move better by rotating, the ball position can still be a little bit back of centre, my stance is not too far, too wide, and then from here focus on turning the body and that ball will come out a lot lower with a lot more spin on it. And I don't really, there you see there's no real effort, there's no force. I'm not trying to keep the ball down. So I'm letting my weight left, the ball position slightly back, and my body turn control the flight and get that low with spin. Again, one thing we've talked about before is swing length, and that's something that we would go into, but that's something that you need to practice on the driving range. So let's have a look at the third and final thing. So we've talked about the stance not being too far wide. What I see a lot is that the whole combination is feet too far wide. I'm then trying to take the loft off. I'm driving, I'm losing this arm connection. So before we move on, even the drill you can do if you don't have a towel, even on the golf course, as you'll see Justin Rose, a few players, DJ do this throughout your short game, whether it's putting, chipping or pitching, is get that left arm connected, and you can have feedback at the end of the motion. Is that still connected? Yes, it is, and I can see there I've got a lot of spin, and that did launch a lot lower. So let's move on to the third and final point, which is about how we move our body. Again, we turn the body, we don't tilt, and that's what I see a lot of people do. So let's move on to that now. So the third and final point here is what we've just mentioned. We've worked on turning the body, keeping that arm connected. That's going to help us lower that flight. What I often see is people try and turn the body, but what they actually do is tilt the body. So they tilt it backwards, and I see this throughout short game. I see it also in pitching, and that's why we get the drop kicks, that's why we get the fats, that's why we catch it heavy, that's why we also thin it. It's a combination that we don't want to have. Wide stance, arm losing connection, and leaning back to try and get the loft are all things that are going to make you inconsistent and really nervous when you get over a pitch shot. So a combination of these drills, we know we've got the stance narrower from the first area that we talked about that I see people do wrong. The second drill, if you don't have a towel, was to tuck the arm. So again, get a feel of that. And now what we're going to do is hit some pitch shots where we're going to drop the right foot back. We're still going to have it on the toe, and we're going to really focus on that body has to turn. And that launches low, and that's gone to around about 4 feet. Unfortunately, I've only got one camera to show you. But I struck that well, it came out with the desired flight, and it went straight towards my target. If we have any kind of tilting motion, I'm going to fall back. And to be honest, I see a lot of people in this position when they've hit a chip shot, and they don't know why. They might have done something wrong. So really focus on that. If that becomes too easy, we can make it harder. And I'm hitting that 35, 30 yard pitch shot now. We can go on one leg and balance, tuck the arm, and let's see if we can hold the finish. Again, it's tough for me, but that's landed around about 28 and stopped pretty quick. A little bit low on the face. But see which is easier for you. Tuck the arm, maybe on the toe. Turn the body, and you'll see that I'm turned through and the club is out in front of me. I'm not falling over with the club around. So 3 of the biggest things that I see people get confused about, it really ruins pitching, and they start to leave themselves, okay, I'll leave myself at 100 yards, or I'll leave myself at 130 instead of 30. If we know how to set up, if we know what kind of things we're looking for, you can really start to break down why you miss hitting these shots, and you can fix it whilst on your golf course. This drill we can do throughout the round. You can do it on your chipping, you can do it on the putting, so your arm stays connected. Again, the leg back, or the right foot back if you're a right-handed golfer, we can do as a practice swing, and then we could go in and hit your shot and have the confidence that I'm not going to tilt back and fall over. So guys, hopefully that's helped you out. Hopefully that's given you 3 things that you might watch out for now. You might start to see, am I doing that? Is my stance wide? I can check that with the clubs. In my finish, is my arm here and the club off? Right, I know I need to get better connection. And have I tilted back, or am I turned through with the chest and on my left side? These are 3 big things that are going to help you pitch better, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again later in the week.